Welcome to the deep dive. So, you share this interesting collection with us, the David DeAngelo dating tips material.
Yeah, the goal is really to get under the hood, understand the thinking behind attraction and dating advice presented there.
Right. And our mission today basically is to pull out the main ideas, the core principles, and maybe find some relatable examples to sort of make sense of it all. Bit of a shortcut.
Definitely. And we've got a mix of stuff here, reader questions, D'Angelo's own takes, commentary, even some success stories illustrating the points.
Okay. And first impressions. Anything jump out right away?
Oh, yeah. Straight off the bat, there's this recurring theme, something they call cocky and funny.
Cocky and funny.
It
Okay.
seems really central. Like it comes up again and again in the advice, the examples, how people describe successful interactions.
Right. So we should probably unpack that first. Cocky and funny. What does that actually mean based on the examples in here?
Well, it looks like making comments that sound a bit arrogant,
Yeah.
but then immediately following up with humor. Ah, okay. So the humor is crucial,
Totally crucial, because without it, you're just, well, cocky. You just sound arrogant, right?
which isn't the goal.
No, the goal seems to be more about projecting confidence, being comfortable in your own skin, like you're not trying too hard.
Got it. And how does this, look in practice? Any specific examples?
Yeah, there are a few, like maybe teasing a woman playfully after just meeting her, suggesting she's trying to pick you up.
Okay, a bit of a role reversal, playfully.
Exactly. Or like making these slightly boastful comments about yourself, but doing it in a way that's clearly lighthearted, not serious, self-aware humor.
So playful banter is key, not taking things too seriously.
Right. Keeping it light, especially early on.
And the purpose behind this, why do this whole cocky and funny thing?
According to this material, it's actually meant to create attraction
Create it. How?
by signaling things like confidence, a playful attitude, and also suggesting that you're not easily impressed. You're not just falling over yourself for her attention. Okay, interesting. It also mentions something about making the woman feel wussy. What's that about?
Yeah, that term comes up. It seems to mean making her feel a little unsure, maybe not totally in control of the interaction's direction.
And that's supposed to be attractive.
Apparently, that uncertainty, that dynamic, can be part of the initial spark. It was intriguing, maybe?
Hmm. It definitely contrasts with the typical advice sometimes about just being nice.
Oh, definitely. The material makes a big distinction between cocky and funny and being what it calls a nice guy, or even wussy.
Right, the nice guy trope. What's the issue there, according to this?
It suggests that being overly nice, like too accommodating, constantly complimenting, seeming needy, that stuff actually kills attraction.
Kills it. Strong words.
Yeah, it frames it as counterproductive. It mentions leaning back, like not showing too much interest right away can be more effective.
So avoid behaviors like constantly texting for validation, agreeing with everything.
Exactly. That kind of thing is labeled wussy here, seeking approval constantly.
Okay. And there was also this phrase, the Marvin Gaye technique.
Yeah, that popped up. It's not explicitly defined, is it?
Not really. Just mentioned.
But, thinking about Marvin Gaye, smooth, confident, sensual.
Right. So maybe it implies a kind of suave, effortlessly charming approach.
That's my guess. Something along those lines. A certain smoothness.
Okay. So this all feeds into a bigger idea in the material, doesn't it? The difference between attraction and just liking someone.
Huge point. Yeah, it really hammers
Well,
this.
there's a distinction they're making.
That attraction isn't really logical. It's not a choice you make, like deciding you like someone because they're nice or have good qualities.
So you can't talk someone into being attracted to you.
Apparently not. It's presented as more of an instinctive response, almost illogical to certain behaviors and vibes.
But being a good person is still important, right?
Oh, absolutely. For life, for relationships, yes. But the point here is that the dating behavior of being the overly eager, nice guy often doesn't spark that initial attraction.
So kindness is good, but neediness isn't. Is that fair?
That seems to be the core message, yeah. It's about the presentation, the dynamic you create, not necessarily about being unkind.
Okay. So let's move on. You've maybe used some cocky and funny banter. You've got some interest.
Mm-hmm.
What about actually approaching women in those first few moments? It mentions critical moments.
Right, or moments of truth. Sounds dramatic, but
Yeah. What are they?
they seem to be those points where you have a chance to, move things forward, ask for contact info, suggest moving somewhere else, maybe go for a kiss later on.
But fear holds you back.
Exactly. Fear of rejection, awkwardness, causing you to freeze instead of act, Recognizing and acting in those moments is key.
And how do you get better at that? Just force yourself.
The advice suggests practice, basically.
Hmm.
Experimentation, approaching lots of women, trying different things.
You get used to it. Desensitization.
Yeah, partly that, and partly just to see what works, what gets different reactions. It even suggests setting small goals, like just getting emails or numbers in busy places like clubs initially.
Okay. What about actually starting the conversation? Any tips there?
It varies. Online, it suggests maybe using interesting, even slightly controversial questions to stand out.
Okay. And in person?
Could be simpler. Just a casual question or observation about what's going on around you, and then maybe transition into that cocky and funny style.
Right. Get the foot in the door first. And getting contact info had a specific take on email versus phone numbers.
Yeah, it actually recommends going for email addresses first, surprisingly.
Why?
Claims women are often more likely to respond to an initial email than a text or call from someone they just met. Less pressure, maybe.
Interesting. And definitely don't lead with asking for the number.
Right, build a little rapport first.
What about that classic scenario? You approach someone and they say they have a boyfriend.
Ah, yes. The advice here is pretty direct. Don't necessarily take it at face value immediately. Yeah. It suggests it might sometimes be used as a polite brush-off, even if not true. The recommendation is to kind of continue interacting playfully for a bit, unless it becomes really clear they're serious and not interested.
Okay. Tread carefully there, I guess.
Definitely requires reading the situation.
Let's talk specific techniques. It mentioned a 3-minute routine.
Yeah, briefly, it sounds like a structured, quick approach specifically designed for getting contact info efficiently in, say, a bar or club setting.
And using things like palm reading, astrology.
Right, cold reading techniques, using them playfully in bars as a way to start a conversation.
It's not about actually believing it then.
No, not at all. It's just an engaging opener, something a bit different to break the ice.
Okay. And the kiss test. Sounds intriguing.
It seems to be a method for gauging if someone is receptive to physical escalation, like testing the water subtly, watching the reaction closely, nonverbal cues.
Got it. And teasing or busting comes up again, too.
Yeah, playfully making fun of things, maybe their height, hair color, whatever, but always keeping it light, good-natured.
Within that cocky and funny frame.
Exactly, turning little things into banter.
And what if she tests you? Like, gives you a hard time?
The advice is stay cool, don't react defensively, don't get drawn into drama, project stability,
Calm and collected.
and eye contact.
Body language.
Crucial. Maintain confident eye contact, don't look away nervously, and generally carry yourself with self-assurance. It all sends subconscious signals.
Okay, so let's say the initial interaction went well. You got that email address. Now what?
Follow-up is key. The material stresses sending an interesting, funny email soon after. Not just, hey, it was nice meeting you.
Make it stand out.
Right. And then suggest something low-key, low pressure for a first meetup, like grabbing tea or coffee.
Makes sense. What about this mini date idea?
Ah, yeah, that's about... If things are going well where you first met, suggesting you both move to another spot nearby.
Like another bar or cafe?
Exactly. The act of leaving one place and arriving somewhere else together apparently strengthens the connection, creates a shared mini-journey.
Clever. And later on, maybe inviting her over for dinner.
Yeah, present it as a good way to escalate things, show off some skills if you can cook, and create a more intimate, comfortable setting.
All right, let's flip it. What are the big mistakes to avoid? The things that go wrong.
Number one, according to this, is being that wussy.
Right. The neediness, clinginess, constant validation seeking.
Exactly. Overly eager. It's positioned as a major attraction killer.
Well,
Putting women on a pedestal just because they're attractive, that genetic lotto idea,
why is that bad?
it often leads to that needy, wussy behavior because you feel like you have to constantly impress or win them over.
Okay. And trying to buy affection.
Yeah, using gifts or doing big favors too early, seen as trying too hard, maybe compensating.
And spilling your guts too soon. Deep feelings, love confessions.
Definitely a no-no early on. Too intense, too fast, can be overwhelming.
Makes sense. What about inaction?
Big mistake. Freezing up during those critical moments we talked about. Letting opportunities pass because of fear.
And apologizing too much.
Yeah, saying sorry for things that aren't your fault, or just generally being overly apologetic, it can signal insecurity.
Okay, this is interesting. It seems like the behaviors for starting attraction are maybe different from keeping a relationship going.
That's a really key insight here, actually. It explicitly says that. The things that spark initial attraction might not be the same things that sustain a long-term thing.
And even weirder, it suggests that if you stop doing the things that attracted someone initially.
The attraction can actually fade, even if you're now in a relationship.
Wow, so you have to keep a bit of that edge.
Seems to be the implication. It even says something like being yourself is a privilege you earn after you've established attraction.
Controversial. What about the friend zone? Could you get out?
The material is pretty pessimistic about that, honestly. Says it's very difficult.
So what's the advice if you're stuck there?
Basically, change the dynamic completely, reduce contact significantly, stop acting like the accommodating wuss, start being more playful, maybe a bit indifferent, shake things up.
A hard reset, almost.
They kind of, yeah. Trying to shift how they see you.
And rejection. It's going to happen.
Absolutely unavoidable. The advice is just to accept it as part of the process.
Get used to it.
Yeah. Experience helps you become sort of numb to it, less bothered. And focus on your goal, like getting contacts, having fun interactions, rather than focusing on avoiding rejection.
Shifts the mindset. Now, you mentioned this material includes feedback from women, too.
It does, yeah. Sprinkled throughout, there are comments, reportedly from women.
And what do they say? Do they agree with this cocky and funny stuff?
Generally, yes. The comments included seem to confirm that they often find that confident, playful, slightly challenging attitude more appealing than just, bland niceness or over-eagerness.
So the idea that women are attracted to confidence, maybe a bit of a challenge that comes through.
It definitely seems to be a theme echoed in those perspectives. It underlines that attraction isn't always straightforward or logical.
Yeah, it really suggests that sometimes not trying so hard to please is actually more effective, doesn't it?
Paradoxical, right. But yeah, that confidence and lack of desperation seem key, according to this framework. It taps into something deeper, maybe, about perceived value or self-worth.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive then, what are the main takeaways?
Well, confidence is huge. That specific, cocky and funny style as a way to demonstrate it playfully, and really understanding that critical difference between just being liked and actively creating attraction.
That cocky and funny thing really does seem like the linchpin for making that first impression memorable based on this material.
It definitely gets the most airtime, yeah.
So maybe a final thought for our listeners to chew on.
Yeah, perhaps consider that balance. The line between being genuinely kind, which is important, and slipping into being too accommodating, always seeking approval.
How might adding just a little bit of that playful confidence, that cocky and funny energy, change things?
Right. How might it shift your own interactions, the dynamics you experience? This material definitely pushes the idea that sometimes the less obvious, maybe even counterintuitive path yields more interesting results.
Food for thought. And obviously, we've just skimmed the surface here.
Oh, yeah. The original source has way more detail, loads of specific scenarios.
So hopefully this gave everyone a good overview. What other questions did it raise? We're thinking about how these ideas might apply or not apply to your own experiences.
Definitely. It's all about learning, observing, and figuring out what works in the real world.